Hey everybody, it's Johnny King, and I'm here with my amazing friend Traver Boehem,
Hey guys.
and we're in his awesome house,
Golden, Colorado.
Golden, Colorado. So we're neighbors, which is awesome, and it's very, very cool to have cross paths with him. He's doing some incredible things. He's been coaching men for quite a while,
A little while now.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, on and off. Like, mostly, I started in like a fitness and health fashion, and then went into working with men going through transitions, so divorce and loss, and now just in every like, performance executive and really teaching a new paradigm of masculinity.
Cool.
That's what I love doing.
Cool. So as you can see, you know, if you're a fan of mine or a fan of his, we actually have a lot in common in that sense. A lot of our common interests and passions about supporting men. We've been through some shit.
Yeah.
Each of us, as a lot of guys that we work with or, you know, cross paths with, have gone through as well. So I just thought I'd interview him about some questions that commonly come up and his work and his story and everything else. So let's jump into it a little bit. I'd love to hear just a little bit more about your story, how you got to Golden, Colorado, how you got into the work that you're doing.
Sure.
Yeah. If you can.
So quick and dirty. I met Johnny through his sister. I used to own a CrossFit gym in Santa Barbara, and the Santa Barbara chapter is in the hero's journey. It's like the background setting. It's like the status quo.
Yeah.
Owned a gym, was married, had an acupuncture studio, living the dream, and then boom, lost the marriage, lost the business, or sold the business, and realized that I got kicked onto a much deeper journey of, as opposed to checking those outer societal boxes, which I was like, man, these are all checked, and I'm still relatively miserable. Fuck, what do we do now?
Yeah.
It sent me on this 3 or 4 year odyssey of self-discovery, of workshops, of all kinds of diving into myself. Like I felt like I had to answer 2 questions at that point. Who am I?
Right.
Which was like, geez, I'm 39 years old, might want to figure this out. Who am I as a man?
Right.
And those 2, Johnny, became the backdrop of so much introspection, interviews, talking to people, lessons, books, you name it, of like, okay, I'm going to figure this stuff out. Or I'm going to play in this arena as opposed to actually figuring it out. And it just took me on a ride. And I wrote a book about divorce afterwards and had guys start contacting me. I was like, oh, for most of my career, my clientele was female. Like, I want to lose weight, come to me. Right? My shoulder hurts. Acupuncture is a very feminine medicine, come to me. Like, why are guys coming to me? And what was fascinating was I could see their situations from a lens of, oh, you have an issue with your masculinity. You have an issue with leadership. You have an issue with integrity. You have an issue with grounding, of boundaries, of very common, let's just call it like overarching frames of masculinity. You're terrified of your sexuality. You're terrified of money. You won't fuck your wife. You're afraid to even ask for your needs to be met. And so I started working guys through this program and got incredible results, and was like, what if I extended this out to people who aren't getting divorced? Because we've gotten divorced, and it's a unique time of your life. It's a great time to do work. But what if I got a hold of guys before that? Right. So they don't have to go down those roads, right? Which, like, basically, I think we both teach what we needed 10 years ago. Right? Yeah. Right. So that's how I got into it.
Very, very cool. What was your childhood like? Because for me, a lot of it is stemming out of my lack of male mentorship. And without having really a father there, how did that play into kind of the hero's journey of
it's a great question. My childhood was like, my mom was a feminist. So I don't think she had a lot of appreciation for the masculine. My dad was a heavy worker. Drank a lot, but not to excess. He was really numb. So I grew up in a very angry house, a very emotionally shut down house. I think the most common phrase I heard growing up was end of discussion, which meant like I brought something up or my sisters brought something up that didn't want to be talked about, squash. And we learned numb it, right? Drink it, yell at it, scream it, slam doors, like that kind of stuff. So I came out of that having no emotional intelligence, having no communication around emotion and just going blank numb
Yeah.
or like deer in the headlights anytime there was high emotion.
Yeah.
Because I'd watched it go from 0 to 120 so quickly, so many times.
Right.
That was like, if this was getting uncomfortable, I'm gone. I'm out of my body and elsewhere and just kind of staring at it. And so that was the pattern in all of my relationships. And super codependent because of all the abandonment issues from the emotional not being there.
Yeah.
So I was dead sure every relationship was going to leave. And so now what do I do to make sure they don't leave? Over this, over that, covert contract, not ask for what I want.
Yeah.
I don't have needs.
Yeah.
Just don't leave. That's my only need, which is just a setup for disaster.
Yeah.
And that played right out in my marriage.
Right. The very thing that probably turns off chemistry.
Yeah, the one thing, the super neediness, the lack of honesty, the lack of authenticity,
Right.
the like inability to hold any kind of space for an emotional conversation.
Right.
Intimacy means if you see me, you're gonna leave.
Right.
So let me duck, dive, chameleon, hide, create personas, not be honest, and just try to work. Work. As long as I got that box covered, as long as I'm kind of providing or showing purpose and doing everything that you want without having my own needs, you'll stay.
Right.
Which is terrible.
Was that similar to, I mean, the working part was similar to what your dad was modeling?
Yeah. My dad worked he still works. I think he retired and then 3 days later was doing people's taxes for free. I was like, maybe you go fishing.
Yeah.
You know, and still to this day works. Volunteers at, he's working for like a biotech company, and he finally was like, well, I told them they could pay me $1 a year. Basically, like, let me come here and work.
Purpose.
Right. Some kind of purpose and get out of the house and
Some type of contribution.
Some kind of contribution.
So was it then just a lot in your household? It was just either 0 or 100. It was either like numbness or blowing up anger. Yeah. Nothing really in between.
Nothing
in terms
really
of
in between.
Let's process.
No.
How we're feeling.
No, there was none of that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Almost. There's no emotional intelligence whatsoever.
Yeah.
Or really discussion around emotion, or are you sad? Come tell me about it.
Yeah.
It was, here's why this shouldn't happen, why we don't want to have this conversation, unless it's angry.
Right.
So I remember being the angriest because whoever was the angriest was getting the attention. Or whoever was the angriest would get listened to.
Yeah.
That's how you want attention, or you want to have a conversation, flip the kitchen table.
Right.
All of a sudden everybody listens.
Yeah.
Okay, I can figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see how that doesn't play out well in
No, it's not really that great. Yeah.
Maybe for a motivational speech in the middle at halftime on a football team. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not surprising, I guess. Would you say then that your divorce was a catalyst of like, oh, this is not working? Or was there something else? Was it like a gradual process of like, okay,
it was the divorce.
Was there a come to Jesus, like an awakening?
Yeah, a complete come to Jesus of, I don't ever want to get here again.
Yeah.
And just some kind of intuitive insight that this is the byproduct of all the work that wasn't done beforehand. And so if I don't want to be back here 2 years from now, I have to go back and do all that work and learn both the new skills, like the actual communicative skills, have an understanding of what are emotions? How do can I feel them? Right. Oh, that's what sadness feels like. Yeah. This is what frustration feels like. In addition to just the skill of having a conscious communication, of asking questions, of being okay with someone saying, I'm upset, and me not being like, well, that's really stupid. Here are all the reasons why you shouldn't be upset. Yeah. Duh. Yeah. Just listening, again, holding space is such a ubiquitous term, but learning that skill, learning all the skills. Yeah. What are the love languages? Right? Is it okay for me to have needs? Oh shit, how do I ask for those? Am I okay? Like I think my hand was shaking the first time I asked for something because it was in my head, do this, they leave, you die. Right. So, oh wow, I can make that connection. I don't want to die. Right. I won't ask for that. Right. So the divorce was the ultimate come to Jesus moment. Yeah. And
it's interesting because I think if any guys are watching this video and resonating with any of it, but also maybe hearing a lot of things that we're talking about that are going over their head.
Right.
It's because it's like it'd be like me stepping into the gym for the first time, which at one point I did.
Yeah.
And not being able to do a pull-up.
Right.
Or bench press 95 pounds. I couldn't do anything.
Right.
And I'm looking at like the freaking huge dudes over there, and like I would never be able to even hang with them.
Yeah.
Because they just have been in there so long. And I kind of think similarly, since my divorce in 2010, 9 years ago, like it's just been massive. Pouring into myself, and and it's just like getting stronger and stronger. Or emotional fitness.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I remember I've told girlfriends since then that I've dated that like, you should have seen me back then. I could not even speak what I was feeling. I couldn't even connect with what I was feeling. All I knew was that I was overwhelmed, or frustrated, or angry, or numb.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, how was your day? Good. Great.
Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me that there wasn't a whole lot of connection there in my marriage.
Right.
Like I left her emotionally starving, you know, and I get that, and I'll own up to that.
Yeah.
However, it's not on her. It's not so much on me. Just that I didn't have
You just didn't have it.
the upbringing, or
you just didn't
growth
have it.
and the mentorship, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's some to this that if you're watching this, like if you're resonating with any of it, you need to start to forgive yourself a little bit and give yourself some grace that like if you're not physically fit, I can't blame anyone.
No.
But other than just taking action.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this, I think that's a good place to start. So
I use the example of I would go back and look at my white belt tournament matches in jiu-jitsu and be like, how the fuck could I like the move? I can see the move coming from a mile away. Here I am 10 years later being like, what was I thinking? But I needed to lose that match to learn about how to defend that move, and now go, hey, we don't go back and look at our old matches with the same set of eyes, right? Intimacy is the currency of building a foundation of relationship. If you can't create that and you just don't know how, you don't have the skill, then how are you supposed to do it? And so if you don't do it, go learn the skill, right? That's also on us to say, 80% of divorces are female-led. That either means women have a wild expectation that's not being met, which perhaps, or we are woefully unprepared on how to live in the relationship domain. And maybe somewhere in the middle is where the truth lies, and men are just now starting to wake up to do that work before they end up divorced, left, heartbroken, devastated, financially ruined, paying child support, all the things. So if you're listening, take the heat of the call too of shit, you and I just didn't go 9 years of hanging out or 4 years of hanging out. It was a deep dive into this subject, no different than fitness or jiu-jitsu or something where if you went, hey, there's guys that show up once a month and they fuck around for an hour and they leave. And there are guys that are here doing 2-a-days for 4 years. Who's going to be where on the progress scale?
I think and I'll at least speak for myself, for someone who was codependent, a female woman pleaser, yes man, to lose love was the worst pain I've ever felt. Way worse than losing a game or a match or not being able to pump out some weight. And I think that's what drives me. But in that regard, for you, what do you feel like having come out of all this, out of the ashes? What's the part of this that you're most passionate about in the work that you do with your clients?
I want guys to know that this isn't magic, right? People are like, oh, you're so lucky you understand this. I'm like, no, I read the books. I went to the workshops. I sat across from guys and practiced this. I sat across from women and practiced this. I went and hired coaches, hired specialists, hired an intimacy coach. Like the first year after my divorce, a dude who he was, his name's Michael Russer. He has a great TED Talk. He had prostate cancer. So he's like, literally, I will never get an erection. You can take straight Viagra, pump it straight into my dick. It's just never gonna happen. So I had to learn how to be intimate this way, as opposed to just that way. And I hired that guy. And I reached out, I was like, hey, this is an odd question. Do you ever just work with people? That much willingness. And he taught me things. He didn't just sprinkle like fairy dust over my head. He was like, all right, cool, we're gonna have a conversation, then we're gonna practice this. And I was like, this conversation's uncomfortable. Like, do it anyway. Okay. There was all of that. So I'm most passionate about the light bulb moment with guys. Right? I spent the weekend with 14 guys in BC, in British Columbia, and so many of them said, I don't know what an emotion feels like. I'm like, well, describe sadness to me. Where do you feel sadness in your body? Think about a time when you were really, really sad. Like, oh yeah, my dog died when I was 10. Where do you feel that? I feel a bit in my stomach. I feel it a bit in my heart. Okay, that's sadness. When you're angry, most likely that's the feeling that wants to come up, and you don't like it. So you're like, push that down, pull the angry card, punch a hole in the wall, and now your wife's upset that there's a hole in the wall and thinks you have an anger problem when you have a sadness problem. And they go, oh, you literally watch them like, oh, they get all excited, like, I'm sad, I'm really sad. You're like, good, let's move on. Let's talk about frustration, let's talk about jealousy, let's talk about etc. So I'm excited to take what was all of these complex subjects that I learned and distill them down in ways that I can go, dude, this is sadness. Go learn it.
I think that's the power of, I would imagine, working with someone like you, which is like taking your decade of learning, right? And distilling it down into that weeks or if not months of, pure, raw coaching that you can help someone kind of navigate through the stuff that they're going through. Rather than
my course is like it's a 3-month boot camp. So I tell them, like, you're gonna be drinking out of a fire hose, but when you walk out of it 12 weeks later, you will be radically different. And then for the rest of the year, your job is to integrate and practice and fuck up and then have your wins. Just like if you were to take someone in the gym, like, hey, this machine does this. This is what benching does. Activates these muscles. This is your aerobic system. This is your anaerobic system. You got all that? Like, I think I got it. Like, okay. Go lift for a year. Go run, go mix work, do CrossFit, do some other stuff, do some yoga. Oh, now you see what I'm talking about.
So maybe this answers my next question, which is like, what part of your work is the most fulfilling?
It's the phone calls and I literally had a guy message me yesterday saying, I had sex with my wife 4 times last week. That's more than we had all of last year. And I'm like, cool. I'm not interested in friction. I'm interested in everything that means. How did you go to work that day? How are you with your kids that week? How are you as a boss? How are you as a guy driving in traffic who may get cut off? Who 3 weeks ago may have pulled a gun out and shot someone? How is your wife? How was her experience in the office? How was her experience as a mother? So it's the wins, man. It's the messages that are like, people stop me and ask me what I'm doing. That's different. People want to know why they feel so comfortable around me now when they didn't. It's that stuff, and I love the ripple effect that we'll never know about. Just like when you get someone in shape, you know that like their kids, their grandkids, the neighbor, like all these people suddenly get in shape around them. So that's really it, is the effect that I get to have on the world.
Which is, it sounds like you're really fundamentally changing their way of being.
Yeah, because it changes everything. Because they interact with the world as a man. So if you change their understanding, and I call it like a rewiring of their DNA, then every interaction is different. And then every interaction that person is then different because they've interacted with you. That's what I'm after.
I think that's cool, and that's, I think, what I was alluding to earlier, which is like, if you were to take the younger versions of us prior to our divorces to have us sit down and talk like this, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of talking.
No.
there wouldn't be a whole lot of conversation, because I don't think, at least for myself, I couldn't articulate what I was feeling, like we talked about earlier. And now to see, and I hope, whether you're a male or female watching this, to see that there is hope.
There's so much hope.
For growth and for that type of contribution to a greater good, I think is... and to great inspiring relationship. Right? And how that affects how you make money. It affects how you go to the gym. It affects your kids. It affects your spouse. It affects your parents.
It affects your relationship. We're in relationship with so many people. And if we're the focal point of that relationship and we change that focal point, then think of the spiral and the spokes of the wheel that get affected too. Yeah.
I think that's pretty sweet.
Thanks.
Yeah, I love that. How have you found your own journey affecting, obviously we can talk about, the wins of your clients, but let's talk just about your own journey. How have you noticed your way of being shifting, your relationships, your health, your business, your lifestyle, if you will?
Yeah, it's insane. The ability to now stand up on any platform and speak what I believe is truth. The ability to express myself fully with no fear that somehow there's going to be some line drawn back to something that I don't want someone to know because I'm living out of integrity. It's changed everything. How I interact with, how I get up in the morning, my own sense of inner peace, inner joy, but mostly, John, I've written 2 books, I've done 2 TED Talks, I've started courses, I've been on hundreds of interviews, and it's this desire and pleasure to express that wasn't there. And I remember a woman, when I was leaving my business, I actually interviewed her to see if she wanted to be a member. And I said, hey, I just gotta tell you, I'm not gonna be here for very long. I'm getting divorced. And she emailed me that night and said, I just want you to know there were so many ways I couldn't express myself prior to my divorce that I can now. And even though it's gonna suck, it's all worth it in the end. And so I can't think of a way that, I walk down the street as whole as I can be of a man, right? Of uncivilized man, of every way I look at the world and the potential and who I can interact with and the people that I'm interacting with, the conversations, the amount of intimacy just over kombucha, right? As opposed to before where it would have been 5 beers, football, and an insignificant, I met this dude for some beers. Right. It was cool. Right. Now it's fuck, that was so impactful. Yeah, so every way, every possible way.
Do you feel like have you lost patience at all for the small talk and the surface layer connection?
I can do it, people? Right? I notice it. I think I notice it with a curiosity of, is this all you have? Are you not willing to go below? Is it scary to go below? Or maybe, is it just okay for now to start here? Right. But it doesn't turn me on.
Amen. What do you feel like then is through all this, would you say your life's mission is?
My mission is to change the way 1 million men express their masculinity by combining the primal masculine and the divine. Period. When I hit that, I'll double it. And then who knows if I'll go on to do something else. But that is why I get up in the morning. That is why I'm doing this interview. It's why every conversation, everything that I do. That's it.
That's pretty awesome. How would you define modern masculinity?
The way it is now?
Or how either the way it is now and how you'd like to see it shaped?
Sure.
However you want to approach that question.
Sure. I think right now what I see is the shadow side of the primal masculine, meaning leadership without a heart is tyranny. Whether that's in a relationship, whether that's our president, whether that's our foreign policy, whether that's the police department actions, whether that's racism, whether it's sexism, whether it's Me Too. We see a lot of that. And then the shadow aspect of the divine, which is a very feminized masculinity, where it's don't point little kids getting suspended for making like finger guns. It's this fear of anything masculine. Right. And I think that is, those two are playing off of each other. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's really polarized into good and bad. Good is the feminized version because it's safe and it's not scary, even though it's fucking insidious and it's brutally dangerous. It's just, it's the wolf in sheep's clothing. Right. And then the other side, we have the wolf who's just like jacked up on steroids and effing everybody up. Yeah. And in the middle, we have a lot of people who are good men, good fathers, good husbands. Yeah. Yeah. But they're disconnected from the fact that they're masculine. Right. They just haven't either done something bad, which makes them think about it, or haven't had something done to them or had their life fall apart because they were trying to be something other than men. But yet when I say there's this middle ground, we also have addiction rates. We have pornography use. We have diabetes, heart disease, suicide rates, all of which are climbing at exponential rates. So man, maybe even that middle group isn't doing that well either. So I think I see the shadow side of both, as opposed to the integration and the wholeness of the light side of both. Right. I'm a huge proponent. My whole idea of what is masculinity, or what do I want it to be, my version, that uncivilized version, is a celebration of the primal, of what is great about traditional masculinity, right? What is great about it? Leadership's fucking amazing. Like men being strong. We need men to fight fires. We need men to stand on walls with guns. We need that. Let's celebrate that, as opposed to like, all of that's bad and dangerous. But let's mix in a huge amount of consciousness. Let's actually engage in our hearts in this activity. I think a big part of the standard common masculinity that we see is heartless, meaning guys aren't connected with here. We live from here up, Monday through Friday, and from the waist down on weekends. And that's modern masculinity.
Right. And I think you started to touch upon my next question, was like, how would you define toxic masculinity? But I feel like you were already getting into like just the shadow sides of the primal and the divine. Would you say that kind of fits into toxic?
I don't use the term.
I don't either.
I think toxic masculinity is a societal construct of shaming poor behavior, mostly done by men. So if we take that same behavior and we have women do it, we don't call it toxic masculinity. We call it murder. We call it child abuse. We call it addiction. We call it something else. So I understand the concept, obviously, and understand where it comes from. But I think we see a lot of shaming, like real men X. Okay, you just use shame. Real men don't X. Okay, we just use shame again. We're trying to shame men and control their behavior through shame. So I see a lot of poor behavior. A lot of it done by men. I see a lot of poor behavior by women. But if we stick to the male side, I see an epidemic of unexpressed pain coming out unskillfully. Hear that if you're listening to this. If you're drinking, fighting, fucking unskillfully, doing drugs, killing yourself, hurting yourself with health, there is an unexpressed pain in you that's like seeping out sideways and coming out in a different way. I look at pain like if we look in the sidewalk out there, if there's a crack in the sidewalk, there's a weed that comes through. That's pain. It's like, where can I get out here? Oh, porn. Oh, alcohol. Oh, your secretary. Some way that's unskillful. So I would, if we're gonna use the term, it's the unskillful application of pain management. That's what toxic masculinity is.
And it's certainly a relevant buzzword.
Of course.
And I don't refer to it a whole lot either. I just, I hear it and see it and comes up with it being that Gillette, type of conversation, that sort of thing. But I do feel like you touched upon, I fit in that area, like you said, between just the nice guy, and never having done anything really that wrong and nothing, but I was just kind of hoping that behavior would be rewarded at some point. Would someone just notice that I'm a nice guy? And then you wonder why you just keep losing day after day after day, and it kind of chips away at your self-esteem. So I do feel like, again, I just think my failed relationship, that divorce, is the best thing that ever happened to me.
And it's such a blessing. It's a yes and. It's like, God, I wish that never happened. And God, I'm so thankful. Let's say this. I'm so thankful that I used it in the way that I did. Because think of how many men, first of all, divorce or breakup is the number one reasoning behind male suicide. So a lot of guys are getting divorced and not going,
Yeah.
oh my God,
Yeah.
huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? I quit drinking the day my ex-wife left, quit smoking dope, quit looking at porn, went to therapy that day.
Yeah.
I was like on the phone with a therapist after, like, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
Like, I think this isn't going to be good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I have a 400-pound deadlift. It's not going to help.
Yeah.
I really need some help here.
Yeah.
Can you help me?
Yeah.
And I think if guys could use that,
Yeah.
and go, I wrote a whole book about this.
Yeah.
How do you use the pain of your divorce or heartbreak to change your life?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, this is suddenly fuel. I'm angry. I'm upset. Take a look at your life. Take a look at all the things that you want to change or you could change so that the vision that you're waking up to is radically different than the one you're waking up to now.
Mm-hmm.
Then get your fucking ass to work.
Yeah.
Right? Start using this male thing that we supposedly all have of like, yeah, I'm gonna go do some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go do some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Get to work. Show some initiative. Yeah.
You just sparked so many different memories for me that I remember going to, one time couples marriage counseling by myself.
Yeah.
And she's like,
By yourself?
Yeah. She's like, this is couples therapy.
Yeah.
I was like, she didn't want to come.
Wow.
She was like, well, there's not a whole lot we can do. And I was like, yeah, shoot. It was too little, too late.
Yeah.
I was reading 5 Love Languages, Radical Honesty, Men from Mars, Women from Venus, just starting to get into, this is what I was doing.
Right.
And it was just too little, too late, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think the choice, and again, if you're watching this and you're kind of in one of those, the fork in the road.
Yeah.
You have a choice, and that's kind of what we talked about when we talked about years ago on that phone call, which is like, you had that choice to either be a victim or a victor. Like, how are you going to respond to this?
Do you remember the sentence?
You've said it before, and I can't say it for verbatim.
So I called Johnny a week after my ex-wife walked out, and you said this, and literally I'm sitting at this table with my whole movement, with books. I said this in the TED Talk. Mm-hmm. It's in the very first chapter of my book. It's the heading. And Johnny said this. It was, God bless you. Like, God fucking bless you. This is going to be the worst year of your life. Or this is going to be the best year of your life. Either way, this is going to be the hardest. Mm-hmm. So you have some decisions to make. Mm-hmm. That sentence, best year, worst year. Here was the given. Mm-hmm. This is what was really, you were one of the first honest people. Mm-hmm. Everyone else was like, oh, it's going to be amazing. You're going to grow so much. You were like, hardest year of your life, bro. Welcome to it. Like, buckle up.
What's for me?
It was the most brutal year of my life.
Worst year of my life.
Worst year and best year.
Yeah.
Because that moment, though, I was like, wait a minute. He's telling me it's my choice. Yeah. Here's what's not my choice, that it's going to be the hardest. Yeah. And who gets to, you have some decisions to make. Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah. I remember that night being like, all right, let's get to work. Yeah. And making a list of like, all right, I'm not good at communicating. Mm-hmm. I have some addiction issues. Mm-hmm. Holy shit, I'm not good at expressing my pain. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to ask for my needs to be met. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of irresponsible with money. Mm-hmm. So it's just like list. Okay, what do I do about this?
Yeah. And I think, again, everyone has their varying, talents and things like that. I think myself or other guys might be in a similar situation, be like not even knowing where to begin. Yeah. And I would say that's where you hire a coach like Traver. Like you're gonna just it's either time or money. You're either gonna give up time, of your entire life, to figure it out on your own, which we both have kind of done. Yeah. But also money, a lot of it. Of it, yes. But you can hire someone such as yourself to help, condense years of struggle to weeks or months of success, so that you can really change the trajectory of your life by getting asked the right questions. Because I don't know for you, but for me, at least in my coaching, it's just asking quality questions for them to draw out what's already within them, which is the answers. They just don't know necessarily how to tap into them. Right? Yeah. It's not about a coach for me telling you how you should live your life, because who am I to tell you what your values are?
It's great questions, reframes. Yeah. One of the questions that an early coach would ask me over and over is that really true? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, it's true. Here's like, well, what if we looked at it this way? Yeah. Is it still true? Yeah. It's like, oh shit, if that's not true, and I'm fully attached to that story, what if I changed it and became fully attached to this story? Yeah. Oh wow, now we're hitting on some stuff. Right? And getting just some really unique exercises. Yeah. Go do this. I remember shooting a video early on, like sitting in front of my computer crying. I mean, like, it's 2019. These are all these amazing things have happened. Like, hang on, bro. Like, this is me from the future. I still have it.
That's awesome.
And so much of that freakily did come true.
That's cool.
And I don't want people listening to this to then go, oh, I'm getting divorced. All I need is a to-do list and a video camera, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
There were also weeks and months of like, I'm going to go lie on the couch. I'm going to cry. I think you told me a week from now, you're going to feel good for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then another week's going to go by.
Yeah.
And then you may feel good for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And I was like, first of all, fuck. Second of all, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I remember when it did, I was like, I'm not okay anymore.
Yeah.
But man, if I could be okay for those 30 seconds, it's not impossible.
Yeah.
I can now replicate that. But yeah, just so you all know too, this wasn't like a Tony Robbins seminar and then all the pain of divorce is gone.
I just remembered, and I think that's where obviously it was coming from, because I remember I was gauging good minutes.
Yeah.
Like I was just keeping track of good minutes. Like, you know what? I had about 5 minutes today where I wasn't like in tears, or I wasn't depressed, or I never use the word depressed, but I just wasn't like in my shit.
Right.
And then I remember being like, that was an hour. I had an hour this week but like over months, I finally like, you know, I had one good week, and then it was one good day and 2 good days. It's just amazing how when you're in it, it feels like such a slog. It's just like
it'll never end.
You're just walking through concrete that's hardening, you know, and you're like, oh.
Or you have a good day and then 2 bad days, and like, what happened to the good?
Yeah.
It's not a linear process.
Well, and it was the same thing for me in terms of entrepreneurship, like starting my business, starting my gym, right? Like I literally would have one good day or one good 2-hour productive day, and then 3 days of wasted just watching ESPN, Oprah, like mindlessly, like how did I ever become successful in my business? I don't freaking know. You know, because I was
you're still in
so
it. That's
lost.
how.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a war of attrition.
It so is.
Divorce, business, all of it. It's just do not quit. Do not fucking quit. And I noticed, I think this is helpful, like one thing a day that I could be like, okay, that's the left turn. That's the email I got from the old client who told me to hang on. That's my CPA. I remember my CPA being like, I'm older than you. I've seen a lot of people go through this, obviously. There's something on the other side if you can get there. Like, hang tight. And that was one whole day of like, okay, this is my fucking accountant. This isn't a priest or a therapist. Like, okay, I'll listen. I remember that day being like, okay, I'm good for the day. I'll hang my hat on that. So find the little ways to hang your hat.
That's cool. What would you say is the greatest need for men in this day and age? Like, what's the gap? What's the void that they're looking to?
And I'm not trying to sell them what I do. It's a paradigm shift. Right? Here's what it is. It's not an either or. Of masculine isn't weightlifting Navy SEAL. And it's not vegan poet feminist. It's somewhere in the middle where most guys go, it's the primal and the divine. Get your ass back in the gym. Every guy needs to touch a piece of steel if physically able to. You need a barbell. You need to do some yoga. You need to, like, this first. Right? First. And then the divine, then the consciousness aspect. Are you meditating? Are you reading books? Like, how many of you people don't read books? Or humans don't read books? What are you looking at time-wise? What are you ingesting? Is it all Netflix, football, and porn? Well, then you're going to have a Netflix, football, and porn life. So I think it's that, Johnny. It's the real, it's head, heart, balls. Right? It's not just head. Guys live here. We solve, this is like a chainsaw. It's great for cutting down trees. And then at the end of the day, you're like, I don't get why not. And this is terrifying. And this needs to be used skillfully. Like that, I think, is the biggest problem. We're disintegrated, and we need to be integrated.
I love it.
Thank you.
What have you given that? How would you give someone a practical look into your day, your daily habits? How do you live? Because it's so important to be living, obviously, with your coaching. To be in integrity and be congruent, because that's what I'm all about too. Is like, you got to show up the way that you're preaching.
For sure.
What does your day look like? What are those things that you said? Okay, touch piece of steel every single day. Do some type of activity using your
Something
body.
using your body.
Right.
Something. Whatever it is for, I don't care, and I don't mean to pigeonhole weightlifting, but like I wake up, go to the bathroom, do some breathing exercises, some like Wim Hof stuff, make a cup of coffee. I throw on a pair of headphones and I'm either listening to a voice recording that I've done that's just like, hey, you can do this. You're awesome. Don't forget about X, Y, and Z. Remember this. Just I record a lot for myself. A meditation immediately, 15, 20 minutes of just like, oh yeah, this exists. It exists below here. And for me, that's also like a martial arts practice. I want to be a ninja from the waist, from the neck down. And then I start working. I actually write a bunch. I'll journal some days or just start creating my mission to the world. And then I work. I see clients. I take coaching calls. I make social media posts. I do interviews, interviews for podcasts, create content. Have calls with my own coaches. I'm like, hey, here's what I'm struggling with. Eat really well. Try to eat really well. Commune with friends. Get outside. You know, like trying to just live as this is the vision I wanted to wake up to. Of I feel good. I'm empowered. I'm strong. I'm celebrating my talents. At the end of the day, I don't have anything anymore that I go, God, you know what I really want to do? I don't worry about it. Like those days are done. It's like, no, I want a New York Times bestseller. So I'm writing. I want to stand in front of 10,000 people and speak. So I'm calling venues and working on the speech and practicing. I want to change the world. Okay, how am I going to do that? Full force. You've gotten rid of all the like, oh, but that would mean people will see you and maybe they'll know about your don't give a fuck. So there's just it's just work and trying to make it may sound super fluffy, trying to make my day art. Right? I love storytelling. I love writing. I love creating. I love working with people. And know that the central point, even if it sounds selfish, is I gotta be in shape. I gotta be healthy. I have to do here. I have to do some menial stuff. Like I have to check my checking account. I don't like that shit. But like the discipline to be like, okay, making money. Money's going out. Oh, credit card, paying bills. And then big vision. I'm touching a lot of that's in the voice note of remember, this is gonna be a 20-acre property with a teaching platform and a gym on it and this. Don't forget about that because today we're working on stuff that's because you're answering emails and calling a tax attorney. So yeah, it's busy and there's so much, right? Because I'm traveling, because I'm speaking, you know it. Because there's so many mediums of getting the message out. It's training, it's rehearsal, it's recovery, and how do I make it as fun as possible? Who do I reach out to and go, God, I love your shit. Can we get on a phone call? Like just fear, like if they say no, okay, cool. Hey, I love your shit. Can we get on a phone call? Just, there's no rules. I think that was the biggest help for me was just taking the lid off of, you can't do that. Why not? Can I reach out to someone and ask him? I did 2 workshops this year, co-teaching with people who I reached out to on Instagram a year ago. Like, love your shit, love your message. That's it, that was it. And they're like, hey, I really like yours too. Cool, you want to get on a phone call? Awesome. Hey, and then building a relationship. That's my day.
That's cool. If someone's watching this and they are, you know, married, 3 kids deep, living in a concrete jungle, no access to being outside, like it's one thing to watch. Because we live in Colorado. We're both single, you know, if you will, or not married, don't have, you know,
no kids
running around. It's a lot easier to create that day when you don't have a whole lot of distractions for us. But like for people who might be watching, be like, dude, I'm so overwhelmed. What would be 1 or 2 things that they could implement, you know, today? That would start to move the needle a little bit.
I think it is in Way of the Superior Man that David Data says, if you won't give yourself 1 hour a day for the thing that you're meant to do, or the thing that supports what you're meant to do, let it go, because you're never going to do it. And so I had this with, I've had married clients, plenty of clients with multi-million-dollar businesses and multiple kids. I'm like, what are you doing at 4:30 in the morning? I'm sleeping. Not tomorrow. Or, and I get it. like you got I have one guy who I was like, one of the sections of my courses is your sex life, and he's like, 3 kids under 5. Get back to me in 2 years. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. There may be a window that you're not doing this, but you're doing something. Right. And I think that, we can say, is it an hour? I don't have an hour, bro. Okay, do you drive to work and back? Yeah. Okay, then you can listen to podcasts. For sure. You can listen to a book on tape. For sure. Or I just dated myself. An audio on cassette tape. Yeah, on cassette tape. On your Walkman. Yeah. For sure. You can do something. And I think especially if you are married, enroll your partner. Yeah. Be a leader in your family. Yeah. And say, hey, guess what? Hon, I want us to have a better life. Mm-hmm. And so what do you think about a course this weekend? Mm-hmm. Oh, money's tight. Okay. Do you have a library card? Yeah. Everybody can get a fucking library card. Like maybe that's the mentality. Yeah. Of, all right, cool. I used to work security and was like 6P to 6A. Mm-hmm. And I would show up every night with either a book or, and at that point it was audiobooks. Mm-hmm. I was like, if I have to sit here and make $12 an hour, I'm going to fucking read. Yeah. And guys would watch movies, guys would play video games, guys would fuck off. Yeah. I was like, no. Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot in common in that regards. And I think that's just like Tony Robbins talked about, the net time. No extra time. What could you be doing to enhance something that you're mindlessly doing, washing dishes, driving the car, and listening to that book? And I think the one that I kind of referred to in one of my stories earlier today on Instagram was the book, The Giant Leap by Gay Hendricks. Yeah. And just talking about how you got to be willing to figure out what your passions are. You know? And I just remembered that when I was married and I was numb to the world and just kind of literally clocking in and clocking out. Yeah. I didn't even know what my passions were. Yeah. So the idea of even leaving my job was like, I love that idea because I hate my job, but what would I do? I have no idea. Yeah. I don't even know what I'm good at. Right. I know, at least in that book, The Big Leap, he has 4 questions to ask that helps someone if you want, if you're thinking about that, get these types of books, get a coach, wherever you need to start, depending on your finances, everything else, just start. Yeah. To Traver's point, like move the needle a little bit. Yeah. Right. I have a client who is, this is so funny, and he doesn't mind me sharing this, that it took 4 or 5 sessions before he was like, can I tell you what I really want to do? I was like, bro, this is why we're here, right? Like, you're a good dude, you're in integrity, you're not, he had a video game challenge. And I was like, what's underneath this? Because you have 3 kids, you have a wife, you have a great job. Video game addiction. Okay. Multiple hours a day. Yeah. After the kids went to bed, it was like, from 9 to midnight or 8 till midnight, he was gaming. And he said, I really want to write a novel. And then like his hand shook because now it was out. And so we got him to where he was writing an hour 3 times a week before his kids got up. And what do you know? He just stopped playing video games. Right? That was the numbing of I want to, and I'm not. I just got chills. The stifled expression that wanted to come out. So those of you listening, you got an hour, right? You got 2 hours. If you don't, rearrange your life so that you do. Yeah. Right? Do you need? I had clients last year, Johnny, that were multiple thousands of dollars in debt, and the woman was saying, last night we were up till like 2 a.m. watching TV in the bedroom. I was like, you have a TV in your bedroom? You just told me you're multiple thousand. How many TVs do you have? Like, we have 5. First of all, you're selling 4 of them tomorrow and putting that money on your credit card, and you're going and getting a goddamn library card. Yeah. Because if you're that much in debt, why aren't you studying finance? Right. Why aren't you following like the Mr. Mustache website, that personal finance blog, right? Like, do you not see where you're going, oh, I can't. I don't have the time, energy, etc. Yeah. Then rearrange your environment. Yeah. Which is, going back to your point, the story of something that you've created that you believe is to be true. Yeah. And it's just not. You know? It's like the Byron Katie's stuff, which is her turnaround. Right. That question, like, do you know that to be absolutely true? Yeah. And it's such a great question because you will think like, oh yes, this is absolutely true, and it's not. And then you look at what's the opposite of what else could be true, right? Her work is great. Byron Katie. Yeah. Check that out. The work. Yeah.
So I guess in wrapping this up, what do you feel like is kind of keeping a lot of men from their hopes and dreams? I mean, gaming, okay, there's a lot of different vices that we're using to numb.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll do it too, where I just had to take the Netflix off of all of my devices.
Right.
Because I already sold my TV.
Right.
But that's still finding my way.
Yeah.
And I had to delete the app.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not going to bed watching for an hour.
Yeah.
You know? So we all do those type of things.
Yeah.
And then some of it is, I guess, okay. You
Yeah.
know, to have some time to just veg
Of
out.
course. Of course.
So it's not like 100% always on.
Yeah. I
Turn
hope that's
off.
not coming across that like from 5 a.m. till midnight, you and I are like doing push-ups or like writing journals or this.
Which is kind of like Gary Vee.
Yeah,
how he kind of puts that out
yeah.
there. Like, you got to be working. I just don't like. I like to chill.
There's a
little
human
bit.
experience,
Yeah.
right? Like lying on a hammock for an afternoon, going in nature is definitely a big piece. What I think is missing is a skillful expression of pain. So if we look at if video games, pot, porn, alcohol, every numbing device, experience, modality, I'm lost for the word, all of that are the branches of the tree. And so what we do is we take a branch off, like, okay, no more drinking for January. And then something else pops up over here. Oh, but I'm gambling a lot. Get rid of gambling, but I'm jerking off 6 times a day. Okay, we get rid of porn, and then it's, I'm doing something else.
Right.
We need to look at the roots.
Yep.
We need to look back and go, where was I hurt as a child? Where am I hurt as an adult? What am I disappointed in?
Right.
How many guys listening to this are going to look around and go, this isn't what I wanted? How did I get here?
Yeah.
And some of that may even have to be getting over the fact that, like, I thought I was going to play for the Yankees.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And now I sell insurance.
Yeah.
Well, shit. And I got a wife and 3 kids in private school.
Yeah.
I'm stuck here.
Yeah.
One, you're not stuck, right? You at any time you can change your life, even if you have kids. 2, the pain is like it's like a little nuclear reactor.
Yeah.
It's just throbbing in there.
Yeah.
And so guys, then they start drinking.
Yeah.
And then the drinking creates these problems.
Right.
And then we look at these problems and go, this is what's wrong. Oh, he got a DUI. He yells at me when he's drunk. We're not looking at, his parents got divorced when he was 6 and he thinks it's his fault. Or we can do this all goddamn day. But until he addresses that, and there's so much male trauma, right? We are sexually abused. We are assaulted. We are beaten. We are shamed. We are embarrassed. We have all kinds of things happen to us because we're human.
Yeah.
Perhaps not as much as, or we'll just say differently than women, because we violate women, but we also violate each other. Our parents violate us, grandparents. It's stuff happens that we don't address. And so I think when men can go to a safe place with other men, preferably, and go, hey, this thing happened to me, and skillfully get one, even just saying those words. Right? I can't tell you how many times this past weekend in that group of men, I heard, this is the first time I've ever said this out loud. I've been in therapy for 2 years. I've been married for 20. I've never said these words out loud. That to me is, you're a potential school shooter. No offense. You're a potential alcoholic. You're probably an alcoholic because you're living with that fucking thing sitting in there just throbbing away, or it's this dull ache that you've put so many layers on top of. That, man, like, you and I could be serial killers. We're divorced. Right? We could be heroin addicts. We're divorced. We could be alcoholics. We're divorced. We could be suicidal. We're divorced. But what did we do? We took the pain and got rid of it. Went to therapy, talked to people, wrote it, spoke it, created with it, cried it. Even that. Like, I spent 9 months on my bathroom floor. Like, every day. It was like, all right, 4 p.m., let's go.
420. Different meaning for 420.
Like, should have been sponsored by, like, Charmin toilet paper, you know? But we got it out. And so I think most men are like ticking time bombs, man. They're just walking around. And guess who knows it? The women in their lives. I can't tell you how many times my ex-wife, like, are you sure you're okay? I was like, I'm fucking fine.
Yeah.
I got a beer in my hand, a joint in the other hand.
Yeah.
The TV's on with no volume. There's music on in the background. Facebook's on my phone.
Yeah.
I have a list of like business ideas that I'll do someday.
Yeah.
And as soon as she leaves, I'm gonna go jerk off.
Yeah.
And it's like, of course, look at me. 10% body fat.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm fine.
what could possibly be wrong in my life?
Right.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
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 That, I think, unexpressed pain.
Yeah. I think that's pretty awesome, and I appreciate you just being so honest and vulnerable with it. And I think it's one of those things where it's the women or our partners, significant others that really see it. But I think it's one of those things that when you said like, okay, I've got 3 kids,
Right.
Even people who have kids can make the change. My mind goes to like, because you have kids, you must change.
You have to.
Otherwise, all you're doing is paying it forward to the next generation.
Definitely.
Like I have 4 other siblings, and we're all working our way out of family dysfunction that I can see clearly came from my parents' family.
Yeah.
And
and
it's
the family
just
before
it's just generational bullshit.
Right.
Shame and everything else that's and toxicity, if you will, just passed down.
Yeah.
So if you have kids, it's even more imperative. I'm just so grateful to have figured my stuff out so that when I have kids, in the near future, I'm going to be such a better father.
Me too. Yeah.
And I welcome that versus, thank God they didn't come earlier.
Yeah.
Otherwise they'd be taken on and working through stuff
I
that
can't imagine if
Yeah.
I'd had kids with my ex-wife
Yeah.
and we were pregnant.
Yeah.
Like that was the plan. It happened. It was going to happen.
Yeah.
And now going, oh wow, thank God.
Yeah.
Because as the man I am today,
Yeah.
it would have been a radically different experience for that kid.
Yeah.
And for those of you listening with kids, let them be the inspiration.
Yeah.
There were a ton of guys at this workshop this past weekend who had kids.
Yeah.
And we're literally saying, like, my wife told me to be here, but I'm here for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know enough's enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not proud of. I don't like the guy looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
And that means on some level they feel that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fuck that shit.
Yeah. I see it. Yeah. I see it as like, the kids are going to come and go.
Right.
And you get to give them a blueprint for success or failure.
Yeah.
That's your legacy.
Right.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm going to be with my woman
Right.
for the rest of our living days.
Right.
And she's my best friend. I'm just as indebted to her as I am to the kids.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing life with her.
Yeah.
But like the kids are my legacy, is the way that I see it. It's just so I don't want people to think, oh, do it only for your kids.
Right. Of course.
For your significant other,
Yeah.
gay or straight, doesn't matter. It's
Doesn't
just like
matter.
it's all about being the best version of yourself that you can be.
Yeah, and do it for just to be the guy. I quit drinking 4 years ago, and a number of my friends have quit drinking since. And I never said it. I never was like, what are you doing? Is that a beer in your hand? Literally, like, you want me to go get your beer?
Yeah.
Can I buy this round? I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
And now a bunch of them have stopped.
That's cool.
And like, just like with fitness, you get in shape, 5 people around you.
Yeah.
You learn a new skill, 5 people around you.
Yeah.
So for guys listening, people think leadership is I have 10,000 guys behind me. I have a company behind me.
Yeah.
I have this behind me. It's no.
Yeah.
Guys are watching. Your kids are watching.
Yeah.
Someone's watching you
Yeah.
at all times.
Reminds me of that saying that the rising tide lifts all boats.
Oh.
And I think that is, as guys, it's us starting to, this work has been going on for a long time, but I think it's starting to become a tipping point.
Yeah, there's a groundswell to it for
There's a groundswell,
sure.
and it's time, because we're messing up, or taking part in our side of things of divorces and crappy relationships and failed businesses and horrible health, and however it shows up in your life, it manifests itself. Yeah, it's time for it to stop.
Amen. It's time.
So, thank you.
Thank you, man.
This is so awesome.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, love
you.
you.
Really good stuff, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Check out Traver's. I'll put your information in the description on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever you're watching this. There'll be a way to connect with him.
Yep.
And so feel free to like and subscribe to both of our stuff. And any questions for him or me, feel free to reach out. We'd love to chat. All right. Take care.
See you guys.